Landlords in one Texas city are rejecting nearly 80% of all applicants if they bring a Section 8 voucher. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's going over the whole topic of the Section 8 vouchers and how landlords, a lot of landlords, just do not want to have to deal with these programs. And as I've mentioned before, a lot of the reasons have to do with the bureaucracy itself, not with the tenants, but with the government interaction and them becoming the middleman in the whole situation. So when you have a Section 8 voucher tenant, right? The government is paying their rent for them or a large portion of their rent. And the problem is then they require inspections, then they require certain fixes, and then those tenants have certain rights that regular tenants don't have. And a lot of the times, the amount that the government is willing to pay is not even equal to what the market rate rents are in the area. Plus, you throw in the fact that these tenants who have these vouchers, a lot of them are the very lowest quality possible tenants that you could be putting into your properties. And then you see why a lot of landlords are just saying, hey, I don't want to have to deal with it. And you know what? Municipalities, they've noticed this. And the smart municipalities are throwing out incentives in order to, try to get more people to participate, extra money here and there. But the dumb mentality of some of these municipalities is that, hey, we're going to try to force these landlords to take these vouchers whether they want them or not. Yeah, that's idiotic because you can't force somebody to do something they don't want to do. Now, they might not come out right out and say, we're rejecting this tenant because they have a Section 8 voucher, but they're going to find some way to reject these people, some way to not accept those vouchers and do the business the way they want to do the business. And that's exactly what's happening in a lot of places. So in Fort Worth, Texas, they found that they have an 80% denial rate for tenants with Section 8 vouchers. Okay. And they're curious, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Hey, go talk to the landlords. We'd be perfectly willing to tell you exactly why we don't want to have to deal with your stupid programs. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. Why do you, if you choose not to participate in the Section 8 program, why do you choose not to do so? I'm just curious what my fellow landlords and the people reading these articles think, okay? Or, do you actually believe that landlords should be forced to participate in these programs? And I don't. I believe in property rights. I believe that a landlord has the ultimate decision of who they want to rent to, which payment methods they accept. If somebody came up and told me, oh, well, I'm going to be paying my rent with proceeds I got from the drug trade, because I sell illegal narcotics, I'd be like, well, I don't want your business, okay? I don't want to, give you a place to live when I know that you're getting this money in an illegal manner, okay? And when it comes to Section 8, it's not that it's illegal, right? But just a lot of the things with the Section 8 program are not, I'm not in agreement with, and that includes socialism, okay? That's why, I have Section 8 tenants right now, but I'm no longer going to be renting to people who have those vouchers because I don't want to participate in those programs anymore. Okay? Just based on my personal belief that socialism is wrong. And there's nothing wrong with that. In the places where I invest, where I own real estate, where I am a landlord, it is not illegal to turn down someone based upon the fact they have a voucher. So, anyway, let's get into this story. This article is coming from the Fort Worth Report.org, and it says Fort Worth's high voucher denial rate intensifies as rental prices rise. A HUD report shows Fort Worth's voucher denial rate is almost 80%, and housing experts say the trend is increasing. Yeah, let's get into it. For 68-year-old Connie Resendez, the clock is ticking when it comes to finding a home. The Las Vegas Trail resident received a housing voucher from Tarrant County in August, which she hoped would allow her to move to a safer part of town. She had 60 days to find a two-bedroom apartment to move into with her 19-year-old grandson. Despite being given a map and a list of participating apartments, Resendez, who lives off her Social Security income, had trouble finding a landlord who would accept her voucher. They either tell her nothing is available, or once she shows up for a tour, tell her that they don't accept vouchers. And if there are a lot of landlords out there who do accept vouchers, right? But the Section 8 tenants are all fighting for those units, right? And that's why a lot of the times they'll get to an apartment complex and there won't be anything available. And so, that's a different issue, right? Where we need more affordable housing development being created for people like this, right? But you're not going to get that kind of development unless the local states and municipalities are throwing out huge tax incentives and making it much more profitable for the landlords. Because if there's no profit in it, landlords are going to go out and they're going to build market rate units. Okay, I'm not saying that people don't deserve some sort of housing. Okay, I'm not one of those people who believes that. I do believe there should be some sort of affordable housing out there, right? But I don't think the government should be building it. Okay, I think that it should be based upon private landlords. And how do you incentivize a private landlord to build more affordable housing? You give them huge tax breaks, or maybe government-backed loan that has lower interest rates. Make it profitable for us. They have that little equal housing that they accept vouchers, but when you call them, they turn you down, Resendez said. One apartment search required her to make 8 trips between an available apartment and meetings with her case manager, only to find out ultimately that vouchers were not accepted there. Resendez's struggle is common for those seeking housing vouchers. A 2018 pilot study funded by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development found that Fort Worth had a voucher denial rate of 78%, higher than Los Angeles, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C., among others. Yeah, and there's going to be a very high denial rate for these because think about it for a moment. You have 2 tenants, right? Each one, let's say that everything is equal on them except for how they are actually paying for the apartment, right? So you have they're the same credit score. They have a clean criminal history. They have no evictions on their record, and their income is approximately the same, right? But one of them is paying their rent with a Section 8 voucher, and the other one is paying their rent with a job. Okay. So if you participate in the Section 8 voucher program, you have to jump through all these additional hoops and get inspections and deal with just nonsense paperwork and etc. You might be delayed on when you get your first rent payment, or if the person who has an equivalent equal income, right, is also able to pay the rent without a Section 8 voucher, you get your money immediately. They're able to move in immediately. You don't have to jump through any of the hoops. There's no inspections, nothing. So the person over here automatically is a step above this person over here. But what we oftentimes see in these cases is the person with the Section 8 voucher is not an equivalent tenant to the other applicants, okay? They're a much lower tier. So we have a person here who not only has a Section 8 voucher, they also have bad credit. They also might have criminal stuff on their history. They might also have evictions on their history. Okay, they might have a lot of bad, you know what I'm saying? A lot of bad problems. And, you're sitting there and you're like, okay, so this person has all these issues and they have a Section 8 voucher. Yeah, they're going to have a lot harder time to find somewhere to live because I'm not renting to them. Fort Worth Housing Solutions, the city's housing authority, told the Fort Worth Report that it does not have more recent numbers available on the current denial rate in the city, but that it remains high and that climbing rental rates have only added to the problem. Why is the denial rate so high? Landlords point to the higher costs associated with accepting vouchers. Also, voucher holders are not a federally protected class under the Fair Housing Act, which allows landlords to turn away potential residents based on their income. Texas law further prohibits cities from passing laws preventing discrimination based on income. And so they say that, okay, well, landlords, us specifically, when they ask us, talked about the higher costs associated with renting to these Section 8 tenants, right? And that is more of a factor than anything else, right? Remember, we're in a for-profit business here. We're not trying to have more costs so that we can get the exact same amount of money. So, it doesn't make any sense for us to rent to somebody where it's more expensive to rent the unit to somebody with a voucher than it is to somebody paying, market rate with their own job. It doesn't. It just does not make sense. But then they use this excuse down further on in the paragraph about how, oh, well, these other municipalities have laws that prohibit And like those laws don't mean anything. They don't mean anything. Okay. You can have all the laws in the world that say we do not, you have to take these Section 8 tenants. But if the landlord does not want that tenant up in there, they will not put that tenant in their unit, period. They might not say, oh, well, denying you because you have a voucher. They just might deny you and then give you a different reason. And that there's nothing they can do about it. There's absolutely nothing they can do about it. I've gone over plenty of stories on this channel about how landlords have denied Section 8 tenants in these municipalities, in these jurisdictions where supposedly it is illegal. It just happens, okay? And them trying to force, that's what the government, and that's what, a lot of these left-leaning people, they think if we force people to do something, then it will be just as we planned, and then everything will be, roses and, like a fairy tale. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay. We have humans involved in this situation, and that means that nothing is going to happen in the way that you predict it will happen. Okay. The government cannot control what people do and how they react to each situation. When you say, hey, you as a landlord, you have to accept Section 8 tenants. Well, the landlord could say, well, then I don't even want to be in business here. I'm going to sell my property and to an owner occupant, and I'm going to leave. And I'm going to go to a place where I don't have to rent to Section 8 tenants. See? And so then all of a sudden they have fewer rental units available. You know what I'm saying? Basically, government intervention only makes things worse, and that's part of the reason I keep bringing these stories up. About Section 8, about rent control, about all these landlord tenant laws. Basically, the government they come in, they try to pass a bunch of laws to regulate what we're doing, and they have unintended consequences. They have oftentimes the opposite effect of what they think it's going to have, and they make things worse, not just for landlords, but for the tenants themselves. And the people, they can't see this stuff because they are blinded by the promises made by politicians who only have their own self-interest in mind.